is Ronak and you're watching VectoArt. So in today's video we will learn a WPF using the UI library handy controls and also the chart library live charts. So without any further ado, let's get started. So let's open Blend for Visual Studio and click on create a project. So make sure you select WPF app with .NET framework and then let's click on create. Let's give the project file name and then let's select the window and go to properties and change a couple of properties like the width and height. So here I'm setting a width of 900 and a height of 550. Okay, and let's scroll down and select the allow transparency checkbox to true and select the window startup location to center screen. If you go through my other videos, you will find out we can also make this borderless window draggable using the mouse. So please do check out my other videos. So now let's start designing this. Before that, let's go to tools, NuGet package manager, manage NuGet packages and add the necessary packages like handy controls and live charts. So let's browse for that package. So let's first start by handy controls, select the second link and select the project and install. Once you install this, it will open a readme file which will have the instructions on how to apply this library or implement this. So let's wait for it to get installed. Also please do subscribe to my channel, it means a lot and it will also help me grow. So now let's move on and select this text and paste it in the app.xaml file. Now next let's copy the same namespace and paste it onto the main window.xaml document. Once that is done, you will go to tools and just verify if all the new controls are added or not. If you can see, if you see here, we see that all the new controls are successfully added. Now let's close all the unnecessary windows and now next let's look for the live charts library or the NuGet package, and here you will see the live charts for WPF. Select that, select the project and hit on install. Once that is installed, let's go to the documentation. The links to these documentation is in the description, please check it out. So you can go to live charts and here in the install section you will see how to install or implement this library. So I'll copy this namespace and go to the main window.xaml file and paste this namespace. Next, let's minimize this XAML window and start designing the window. I'll zoom in a bit. Okay, so let's first start by adding a stack panel to the left hand side. So right click and select the stack panel and draw it on the grid. Okay, let's select the window and change the background color to a dark shade of gray. Yeah, I think this will do. Next, let's start adding elements inside the stack panel. So make sure that the stack panel's orientation is vertical, and then let's draw a rectangle on the stack panel. Change the color to light shade of gray and remove the stroke. And now next we will add, I have added this rectangle so that I can add the application name and the logo there, so which I will do later on. So let's add a grid below that now, and inside that grid we will add a text box, sorry, a button. So let's increase the size of the button to occupy the whole space to fill the grid. And now let's go to button properties and remove the background and border brush and change the foreground color to white. Also let's change the content of the button. Before that, let's change the font to semi bold and font size to 14. I think 14 will be good. Let's change the content to dashboard. Yeah. And now let's right click on the button and edit template, edit a copy. Here always edit a copy. If you want to have the same style for multiple buttons, then you can edit a current, but here I don't want the same style, so I am editing a copy. Let's inside the stack panel, let's add an image at the start. So I'm moving this image that I've added at the start of the stack panel, and let's decrease the size by changing its width and height properties. Now let's go and add some margins. Okay, let's browse for the image. All these icons I have downloaded from icons8.com. The link is in the description. Please do check it out. So let's convert this to a local value for the stack panel, and change the margins for the stack panel so that it appears at the left. So I am adding a minus 30 points margin here so that it moves to the left. Now I'll go back to the window and duplicate this button several times for other navigation items. I am speeding up the process because it is pretty much the same. Okay, so now you can see that because of our alignment of the stack panel, the alignment is not right. So I'll go back to individual button here and remove that margin that I added of a negative margin. And also here, while I'm inside this properties, I will remove the binded value and convert it to a local value for the horizontal and vertical alignment, and change the horizontal alignment to left. So doing that, the button will automatically button text will automatically align to the left. And now I will add a positive margin of say 30. Yeah, and now I will repeat the same process for all the other buttons so that we have this alignment of left. Okay, so we're done with that. Now let's focus on the logo and the application name. So I I have deleted the old rectangle that I have added, and I have added a grid on top so that I can position the contents within it absolute with the. So I have added a text block here. Let's change the text property and some of the font properties for this. So let's add an image next to it, so that will hold the logo within it. Okay. So let's run this application once and see it in action before we design it further. Okay, so the buttons are working fine. You can also add some highlight when you hover over the buttons, that you can do in the XAML file. So I'm not going to go into that, but if you want to learn that, you can check out my other videos. So let's copy that grid and paste it next to it outside the stack panel, and remove these two controls. Change the color of the background, and now inside this we will add the search bar and the user details. So now before doing that, let's design the other elements. So here I am adding a rectangle, a rounded rectangle, which will serve as a card element, on top of which I will be adding the other information. Okay, let's round the edges, and now let's make a copy of this, and again, yeah. So that's done. Let's make some more copies and increase the width and height for the same. Okay, so yeah, that's done. So now let's focus on the grid that we added on the top. So let's go back to the documentation, and here let's look for the search bar. And if you see the documentation, there are several examples. So I will select one of the example from here, and let's copy it and paste it on the SAML here inside the grid that we added on top. So here if you see that this search box that we added, the example, has a title, also a placeholder. So I'll remove the title element from attribute from it, and now I will decrease the size of that search box that we added, and yeah, and now you can see that it has a placeholder text and a search icon by default. So this control I have added from the handy controls UI library. There are several other controls, custom controls. You can go to the documentation and check each one out. Also, in my previous videos I have used most of the controls from handy controls UI library, so please do check out my other videos for implementation help. Now that we have changed a couple of properties of that custom control, like the background and foreground, next move on to the other elements. Let's add a button in the same grid, and here let's right click and edit the template and edit a copy. Click OK, and here inside the second border, let's delete this stack panel and add a image inside it. Now let's go to the image and select the source. Okay, and now the first border that we have, let's remove the background color for that. Let's just delete that border. So now let's for the border that is remaining here on the template, let's remove the border brush so that we do not have that white border across. So now let's go back to the window and run the application. Now let's do the same for the other button, that will be the notification button. So before that, let's decrease the size, and now let's make a copy of it. Okay, so now right click on this button, the copy one, and edit its template. So right click, edit template, again edit a copy. Never do edit a current. If you do edit a current, then the previous button also will get affected by the changes you do. So now here I am changing the icon, and now I have added one more image here, and let's set the width and height for this. And here let's go to my old icons and select an image. Okay, now let's add a text block. Change the foreground to white. Let's add some text here. Okay. Okay, so we are done with the top grid. Now let's move to the individual card elements on the screen. So let's start by designing the first card that we have. So let's add a text block inside that rectangle. Change the bold property, change the text, change the size, and also change the foreground color to white. Make sure you leave enough room for the graph that will be inside that card. So let's change this text size, change the foreground color, change the text, let's zoom in a bit, and now let's add one more text block below which will show the value. Let's increase the size of the font here. So let's decrease the size of this image box and place it next to the text. Change the source. Okay. Yeah. Let's add a text block instead and change the font size and the foreground color. Okay. Yeah. So that's it. Now I think we are done with this card. Only thing that is remaining is the um, chart control on that. So I am going to select a donut chart. So if you go to the documentation here under pie and donuts, you have the code sample for the donut chart. So let's first select the XAML code from here, copy it, copy this part, the live chart part, pie chart part, and paste it on your main window XAML. Scroll down, yeah, paste it here. I think we'll have to resize it. Sorry, I am resizing the grid itself. So let's select the chart and then resize it. And you can see that the donut inner radius is too much, so let's reduce it so that we have a smaller inner radius. And let's remove all these legends and tooltips. If you need them, you can retain it, but I don't need them in this design, so I'll just get rid of it. And also I will change the legend location to say none, so that I don't see the legends there. Okay, so that is done. So let's reduce the size again and also decrease the inner radius. Yeah, yes. Okay, so increase that inner radius a little. Yeah, I think this is perfect. Let's run this application and see it in action once. Before that, I think we'll have to add the code behind content, so to act the actual series data. So let's add the namespaces, and now let's copy the series collection which will populate the data. Let's copy that and paste it inside the below the initialize component. And then let's copy this functions. I don't think we are going to use it, but let's first add it so that I don't get any errors at first. Let's remove that commented code, and yeah, I think let's run this application and see it in action once. Okay, so that's a beautiful graph. Okay, so next let's stop this application from running, and let's copy this template that we created on the first card. So yeah, before that I think let's remove all that. Let's group this content that we created on the first card into a grid. Right click, also select the chart and right click and group it into a grid. Now let's delete those two and copy these grids. Okay, so let's make the changes to the two grids that we copied. Okay, so that's done. So I'll remove that code that I added, the functions previously, which I thought it was not necessary, so I'll just remove them. I'll also remove this commented out code, and I'll also remove the other pi series there, and just maintain one series and give the title as visits. Also change the value, and let's go to the other pie charts or the donut charts that we added and remove the series um, property for now. Okay, so let's stop this, and now let's copy these series collection and add the series collection for others as well. Others, when I say others, the other two donut charts that we have. So let's add some series data to it as well. So I have created these two series collections, and I will change the value for them as well, and also the title. And finally I will map them to those uh, charts. Okay, so we are done with that. So let's run the application. Yeah, I forgot to add the changes to the XAML file, so let's go and copy that series binding property, and let's change the series names here. After doing that, let's run the application. Yeah, and you can see that we have a chart, the donut chart. There is one more thing that I want to do is add a fill property. So I will change the color for the first one to blue, and the second one to yellow, and the third one to red. Okay, so let's run the application again. Yeah. I also want some empty spaces to show the others value. So what I will do is I will add another series or a item inside the collection, and then this I will name it as others. I'll add the remaining value out of 100, and I'll do the same for the rest of the series collections. Here let me run the application once to see the changes that I've done. I forgot to change the fill for the others item to transparent. Let me do it quickly. So let's stop, change the fill to transparent for the others property, and run the application. So you can see that we have this beautiful looking donut chart on the top. Now we have basically do the same thing that we have done above for the other two remaining card elements. So I will speed up the process here because there is nothing much um, difficult things that I'm going to explain. So I'll just take some elements from the top. Only thing that I will be doing is the a different chart that I will be showing below. So that chart is nothing but a line chart, and if you want an explanation on that chart, you can go to my previous videos where I have explained the whole live chart library. So yeah, thank you guys. thank you for watching this video. Please do subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon for future updates. And if you are interested in downloading this source code, yeah, the link is in the description. You can download it from the GitHub repository. Thank you so much. Bye bye.